This is Margaret in Windsor. That's my real name. And I usually don't read from, well, I don't, from a prepared text, and this really isn't. It's just scribbling. But I wanted to make this as short as possible and not start trying to bring in and prove my point on here. Uh, because you really can on one tape or a million tapes. Now then, I'm going to start reading from it, and I hope that people listen to me. Um, so here goes. And by the way, I want to say this: I'm on previous tapes. If you care to get a background on what I'm speaking of, there's plenty of tapes on YouTube that I place up there, and I'm on Facebook. So I'm not using any of that material to give a background today, other than I'll say I was kidnapped from Buckingham Palace in '41 and brought to Moulton, Alabama, and given the name of a twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey Childers. And I didn't find out about my kidnapping until '83. And I guess that's what I wanted to say before I get into this. I wrote a medical malpractice book in through 77, 78. I had worked for doctors. Later, I worked for the district attorney, but I would get away from what I want to say. I found out that people were being programmed. And Larry McDonald, congressman doctor from Piedmont Hospital in Atlanta, really, I had written about him and deaths that happened in his hospital and about mind control being used. And one of the doctors, excuse me, that I wrote about actually had put a chip in a heart bypass he did, and excuse me, and you can modify behavior. This specific person I'm speaking of was head of a huge corporation, and you can modify his behavior and decision making. They aren't his anymore. He just thinks they are. He's unaware that he's a mind control victim. And this is being done to children at an early age now. You simply can teach them at a low level the Morse code, and you can continue to program them. It's invisible, mind control is, and you modify their behavior however you want it to be. You can program them just to act out. Then later or not later, whatever you want them to do, you can have them kill. So, or rob a bank, or here's a good one. And I said I was going to read from, and I'm not on this. Someone I know, and I'm not going to mention her name on here, but she was a niece to U.S. Senator John Sparkman, who was so much a part of knowing and delivering goods at NASA for my kidnapping. I was taken to Moulton, Alabama. He was a senator, U.S. Senator, knew all about it. But I'm going to use this as an example real quick. I knew his niece, I'll go ahead and say that, who had a cushiony job provided by him for the government, and I knew her. Later, I go back after I found out about mind control, and I'd worked for the district attorney in '80, and I met her. And there's other circumstances that make me know what happened. But this is what you can happen with mind control, and how can you prove it? She was dating an older man, so this all looks simple. Somebody would dismiss it. That's what's been done with all of it. He died. He had a heart attack, and this is what you do with it, too. You program the person to have a heart attack. You can cure any illness, or you can create it. And this has been back to the Tesla. So if this is all told, and what a nurse told me here, well, you're talking about all the equipment we have in the hospitals, and we wouldn't have a job nurses or doctors if they knew things could be cured. So back to this, though. You can do this with mind control. Program them to kill, and then they go to death row or whatever. But in this case, he had a heart attack. He's programmed to leave Gale If you want to sue, prove it, sue, because you've done everything, all of you in the book to me, and it's true. He left her, and he was programmed to do it. He had a heart attack. He left her very wealthy. Let me put it this way. And then about the same time, now he had to be told to tell me this, whether his name was Carl Smith or not. He was an FBI agent from Atlanta, and he had lived close to me for quite a while in Marietta. Then 5 years prior, so they knew what was going to happen to me, the FBI. The book I wrote, MD, A License to Kill, it was never published. I had a letter from the FBI in 79, June the 23rd, and it said, national security involved, ongoing investigation. So now, in April of 80, right after then, I am filled with antifreeze. It should have died. And you can't tell what happened there. It's so, the law's broken, the hell that was done to me. I was delivered across the state line illegally to Huntsville, and I worked for the district attorney. Now then, at the same time that I'm finding out about Gail and what happened, and she was left all this money, and this older man had been dating her and died of a heart attack, and his will left all this to her, which can be done. He's programmed to have the heart attack and where to leave his money, etc. At the same time, Carl Smith has been at Warren House Apartments, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. This involves patterns, and it can be proven. I'm living at Warren House, which is the Kennedy who helped kidnap me. And if you care, you can go back to prior tapes. He was ambassador to England at the time they took down my father and I was born and kidnapped. He helped in my kidnapping. The Warren House is like Warren Commission that covered it up. And I'm working for the district attorney, Simpson, and Wallace Simpson was supposed to marry my father, King Edward VIII, which was a lie. She married an imposter. All of it was a lie. My father was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, Georgia O'Keefe's sister from the United States. Now I want to get back to the mind control. Carl sent ahead of me to Warren House, so they knew I was doing the book, and they knew that I was going to have the letter from them, and they knew that I was going to have the antifreeze put on me and across the state line to where he is at, the FBI agent, Carl Smith, and living at Warren House, and I'm going to be working for Fred Simpson. So this is how far back programming has gone. Now, Carl lived in the apartment below me, and he actually told me he was sent there that where I was going to be was planned 5 to 10 years ahead. So that lets you know what's been done to me and my children, Mark and Scott. And it's who we are. I found out in '83 about my kidnapping and a political campaign. Now, I don't want to get away from this. I want to get this on this tape. So Carl Smith, he actually showed me pictures. He had a daughter legally when he was married, okay? And he lived at Normandy Apartments across from me. So he was, well, without going into all, he told me, he was told to tell me all this, and it's true. But he showed me one child that was his by marriage. Then he showed me 3 others that the mothers didn't even know they'd been raped in the night by the use of mind control. And if they ever had their babies checked with their husband's DNA, the husband would think, where have you been? This really happened. And he gave me the name of one. But these children were out of wedlock. The mother didn't even know they'd had sex with him, wiped right out of their memory. So, now then, I want to go to this. And if you're tuning it out, I'm sorry, because it's beyond belief what's going on. Now, I'm going to, this is a prepared, because I start getting into what I just did. It's been an ongoing hell. Oh, I didn't finish that. Carl Smith ended up marrying a teacher, a very lovely lady from Athens, nearby a college in Huntsville. And he said to me, brought her up to me, and he said, you tell her who I really am, And I said, he's an FBI agent.